definitions that we see sometimes people get confused are the difference between an assessment and an appraisal. So I think, every year we get our assessment on our property values. And the assessment is really, it's assigned value from the city that's coming to you about your property value, right? So it's saying, this is the value of your property, because they want to pretty much figure out what's your tax burden going to be. So I think a lot of times when we talk to sellers and we talk to buyers, and they talk about the word assessment, and people see the assessment of the property online, they automatically, think every time we're talking about appraisal that we're kind of talking about that value. But the difference is when we're talking about appraisal, a lot of times we're talking about maybe a contingency that we're putting on in an offered purchase. But the appraisal is not necessarily, it's not coming from the city. It has nothing to do with the city. The appraisal is going to be a third party that's independent of the buyer and the seller, that's going to come in and assign a value to the property to say, is this property worth what you're purchasing for? And it has nothing to do with anyone else except for the opinion of that certified appraiser who's essentially coming in and taking a look to say, this is the value of the property. And they do that by looking at other comparables in the neighborhood, other properties that are maybe similar in quality, similar in size, similar in location, certainly. And that's the way that we can take a look and see that your property is appraised close to what you're purchasing for.
Yeah, and I feel like banks use this because they want to make sure if you default or don't pay your loan, that they will be able to recoup the value of their home. And so it's really important, especially if you're having a loan, that you expect this portion of the process. There's other ways that we can go into depth on another episode about appraisal waivers or, appraisal buffers. However, 9 times out of 10, if you have a loan, expect there to be an appraisal process.
The assessment is usually at least a year behind that they're looking at things. They're looking at your neighborhood. They're not looking at the type of house, how many
Like
rooms, your square footage. They're also going to look at sales, but as a lump and sort of a percentage that things have maybe gone up. And so everybody gets assessed maybe a similar percentage, versus the appraisal is truly looking at the market value of that particular home based on like homes that have recently sold.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.